Good afternoon, everyone. We are at the top of the hour and have about 41 participants. So we're going to get started. Appreciate everyone's time today. I know we're winding down at the end of the semester and everyone's very busy. So we appreciate you taking some time to spend with us this afternoon. I wanted to give you just a quick overview of what we will cover in terms of our agenda today. And we do plan to keep this right at the hour in terms of timing. You can click to the next slide, Darren. So we will give you a COVID health update. I believe that Rex is joining us. I'm not sure about that. Darren, is that the case?
He's supposed to be here.
And then our two colleges, the Arts and Letters update from Candy, and then the College of Ed update from Jean. And then we'll have a quick financial outlook update. And then I have a few updates that I will just quickly run through related to communications that we've sent out, just to make sure that there aren't any questions about those. And we'll wrap up with just a quick conversation about winter commencement, and then take any questions that you might have. And with that, we'll go to the next slide. Do we have Rex on the line?
We do not see him, but we're texting him to see where he's at.
All right. You know, he called me just a couple of minutes ago, so I'm wondering if he ran into some delays or something happened that is detaining him.
We can come back to him.
We'll just come back to this. As you know, this is a joint town hall with Arts and Letters and the College of Ed. And I think this is either the third or fourth one that we've had together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Candy for any updates from the college.
Thank you, Laura. I have just a few updates. I wanted to thank the Provost Office as well as the ITRC. I know that our faculty and our staff have invested a lot of time and energy in supporting their students with remote learning. And we are right now in the middle of a hiring process so that we can offer faculty and staff some additional support with technology. Those interviews will occur, I believe, this week or next. John Grievous is serving on that committee. This is a person, an individual who will work through the ITRC, but provide tremendous support for Cal as well as other areas on campus. So we're really grateful to Academic Affairs for their support. I also wanted to take a moment and remind our faculty that on February 26, 2021, we will finally host our Cal grant writing workshop. Associate Dean Michelle Brumley has been working really hard to create this opportunity to have grant funding professionals come in and spend some time and share their expertise in a way that meets the needs of our faculty. So as you're planning your spring syllabus, I encourage you to try to carve out a little bit of time to be a part of that February 26th opportunity. I also wanted to let you know that we have been, in addition to our regular chairs meetings, having chair roundtables. The associate deans have been facilitating those. And as a result of those meetings, we have been putting forward a number of initiatives and sharing some feedback with Academic Affairs, and some of the things you'll hear about today, I think, are the result of feedback from faculty and staff that has actually been initiated through those roundtables. So I want to thank you all for your work and encourage faculty to share their input and thoughts about what's working and what we can improve upon so that they can work those into those roundtable discussions. Two more quick updates. There has been a charter, actually a couple of charter groups that have been focusing on marketing degrees and building relationships with CEOs and CFOs. The Foundation, the Office of Research and Economic Development, and the College of Technology. And one of the outcomes from the work that they have been doing is identifying the kinds of skills that employers, CEOs, CFOs are interested in terms of their workforce. And interestingly enough, those skills really align beautifully with the skill sets of our graduates. And so one of Madison's jobs this spring semester is to come up with a marketing plan where we can better market, articulate, share with the community, with parents, with potential students, and obviously with employers, the skill set that our students have. So we're excited about that effort and are appreciative of the results of those charters. And then the last announcement is actually one that makes me very sad. As some of you know, for the last few years, we've been really blessed to have Matt Stuckey as our Director of Development. And Matt has taken another opportunity and will be leaving us at the end of the month. And I just want to say publicly, because I may not have the opportunity again, how grateful I am for him and all the work that he's done, the support that he has helped us create for our ongoing programs, the number of named legacy scholarship endowments he has helped us to create, and the support for our initiatives related to enrollment and outreach. I'm very grateful to Matt, and I know we will all miss him.
Thanks, Candy. I'm of course sorry to see Matt go. I'm glad we had an opportunity to thank him for his service to the college. Jean, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before I share the College of Ed updates, I just want to again thank the College of Ed faculty and staff for all their hard work this semester. I'm so grateful for all you've done to support our students, for your patience, your compassion, and your continued perseverance. And now we just need to get through Thanksgiving, which sadly I can't get out of my brain since Kevin was talking about recipes for rolls and mashed potatoes at this morning's coffee hour. So just dreaming of carbs right now. Just a few updates to share with everybody. First, I want to acknowledge the efforts of Drs. Esther Natuli and Suyin Lin for organizing the virtual Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Conference in Education that was held on October 30th. They had more than 90 folks attend, including faculty and staff and students from the College of Ed, as well as faculty across the university and from our K-12 schools. I want to thank all the faculty and staff and students who presented at the conference, including Darcy Graves and Jenna Thompson from Cal, who gave highly engaging and instructive talks. And special thanks to the other Cal faculty, staff, and administrators who attended the event. We appreciate your support and look forward to doing more collaborative endeavors in the future. I wanted to invite all the College of Ed faculty and staff to the Alumni Relations sponsored College of Ed Town Hall on Thursday, this Thursday, November 12th at 1 o'clock. John Curry from our Organizational Leadership and Performance Department is going to be presenting with his student Rebecca Peacock on their collaboration on an article they published together on instructional design. And John's also going to be talking about his book entitled The Greatest Lecture I Was Never Taught, Leadership Lessons and Mentoring Moments from the Lives of Everyday Educators. So sounds like it's going to be a good afternoon. If you can't make the event, please check it out on the College of Ed Facebook page where it will be posted after the event. Third, as many of you know, in response to the teacher shortage in the state of Idaho and in particular rural areas of the state, this semester we proposed a fully online fee-based teacher education program to begin in fall of 2021. If approved, this program will do two things. I know it's great news. Make our teacher education programs more accessible to those living in rural areas and offer the program at a cost that is affordable and competitive with existing online programs. So I'm grateful for the test faculty and staff leadership for their support, for Laura, for Joanne Tokel, and other folks in academic affairs. And now we just need the green light to go forward. So hopefully that happens sometime soon. And then finally, just a reminder to the College of Ed faculty that Dean's Excellent Funds applications are due a week from this Friday, November 20th at 5 p.m. A reminder email was sent out today, so I hope you're considering applying. And finally, I guess before I mute myself, I just want to take an opportunity to acknowledge you, Laura, in what may be your last College of Ed Cal Town Hall. I want to let you know how grateful I am for all of your support as I transition to this role in the College of Ed. And I want you to know that I'm going to miss you. Even though we only overlapped for 5 months, I have come to develop great respect and appreciation for your leadership style, your calm demeanor, and your unfailing positive attitude. On behalf of everybody in the College of Ed, thank you for all you've done for us. Thank you for everything you've done for Idaho State. And we wish you all the best in your next phase of your career.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it. And I certainly have mixed feelings about this being the last Ed Cal Town Hall, and we'll certainly miss everyone here, and really miss the wonderful experiences I have had working with everyone. You know, I haven't had the opportunity to say very much about this publicly yet, but it is very emotional to leave after being at an institution for so long, 21 years. I really grew up as a scholar here. I will always appreciate ISU for that reason, and for also the unfailing attention the institution gives to providing opportunity to people who otherwise would not have it. And I think we do that better than anyone. And I will never forget the opportunity to work with you all to make those opportunities possible. I'm excited about the next step for me. And I have promised, I want you all to know, I have promised Kevin that I will help him with the transition, with the hiring process, and also with accreditation and with program health if that is needed. So I just wanted you all to be aware that I have committed to Kevin that I will do that. So thank you. All right, Darren, we're going to move to the next slide, and then when Rex joins us, we'll just switch to Rex. Do we have either Glenn or Jen here today? Sometimes they take turns on this. I'm not sure if either one of them are joining us, but I can probably cover this if needed.
I saw Glenn. Glenn's here.
I am here, Laura.
Oh, thanks,
I'm
Glenn.
here, Laura, but you're welcome to do it if you would like.
I know, I'm very thankful that you're here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I just want to briefly just talk for a few minutes about our financial outlook, where we are. As you know, we started the year, we went through a very painstaking process with the help of many of you on this call of trying to eliminate our structural deficit. We did that, and as part of that elimination, we had to give notice to a number of faculty. We had to give a year's notice. So we would not actually receive the benefit of reducing those positions for a year. So we went into this year knowing we would spend around $2.5 million, $2.7 million of reserves to balance our budget. However, relative to COVID, relative to our fall enrollments, our enrollments were down more than what we projected, considerably short on the undergraduate side, and the graduate side actually increased. So overall, we're anticipating about a $2.9 to $3 million shortfall on our revenues this year. In terms of specific expenses for COVID, we're getting a lot of those reimbursed through federal programs, but not quite all of them will be reimbursed. We also have some revenue shortfalls associated with not having events, not having athletics. So the bottom line of all this is we're projecting right now to finish about $2.9 million worse than what we had anticipated for this year. So if we just simply look at that at a high level, we're 2.9 million short. So nothing has essentially changed from when we made the decision to institute a furlough plan to help with the $5 million holdback from the governor's office. In fact, things have deteriorated a little bit, but they certainly have not gotten better. So because of that, the environment is still essentially the same place it was when we instituted the furlough plan for this fall. Now, there are several variables that will impact how we actually come in on this fiscal year. The first and primary is our spring enrollment. Now, we have budgeted and anticipated a 10% decline fall to spring, which is the first time in a number of years we have built our budget at ISU, assuming that we would have normal fall to spring attrition. But if our attrition rate is greater than 10%, that will put additional revenue pressures on us for the year. Now, the flip of that is if we can do everything we can to make sure we make these take these last few weeks of opportunity to make those connections and to help our students enroll for the spring, listen to them and respond to their concerns, we could have a positive impact if our attrition is less than 10%. The second thing is, depending on right now, we're planning on spring athletics in the conference. If that goes forward, if we're able to have other auxiliary activities sometime in the spring, that could bring some additional revenues in. Now, if nothing changes on those lines, we've already anticipated the revenue loss. So things really can't get worse in that category, if you will. And then finally, there's some possible additional COVID relief funds. The president and through the President's Council and the CFOs have been working with the board office and the governor's office to request that we receive some additional relief, either in terms of partial or all of the holdback. If we receive that $5 million back, we would flip our budget from being in a negative position to a positive position. So there is some hope. There's no signals from the governor's office that it'll happen, but the governor did listen to the president and the other president. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. But all in all, we're really looking at being about $3 million worse on the year than we planned. And on a $250 million budget, that's 1.5%. That's really pretty darn good considering the environment that we're operating in right now. In terms of FY22, we will have revenue projections tied to enrollment projections sometime in January, and then that will drive us setting our expense budget target for the university, so that as we go into the budget setting process next year, we believe we'll have a very good projection of revenues and enrollments tied to enrollment management, and then the expenses to follow. So that's it for our update, Laura. And of course, questions later in the.
Great, I appreciate that, Glenn. And I know that you may have some questions about that, and we should have plenty of time to address those here in just a few minutes. I understand that Rex is joining us, so we are going to switch back to our COVID health update and turn it over to Rex for those updates. Thanks, Rex.
Sure, thank you. And hi, everybody. Just a few updates regarding COVID. As you all know, we're operating at kind of a modified yellow category. That's been the case for the last several weeks. Our case count on campus has actually trended downward since the peak about 4 reporting periods ago, where we were almost at 70 cases. We were at 49, I believe, in the last reporting period. And although this sounds good, I think it's great that our numbers are declining. I have some concern about accuracy of reporting because we're using a self-reporting model. I think there's a little bit of fatigue with regard to folks reporting to the self-report form or to the COVID hotline. So I would encourage all of you to keep communicating with your students, with your faculty colleagues and your staff colleagues, and talking about the need to report. We want to continue to mitigate disease on campus by utilizing our contact tracing processes. That being said, we've added some additional contact tracers to our team. So we are, I think, staffed up quite well at the present time, provided our case counts don't go up dramatically over the next few weeks. Now, that being said, the community disease activity continues to be at a concerningly high level, although the trends in Bannock County and our health district have trended downward slightly over the last few days. Our case counts are still many fold greater, orders of magnitude greater than they were when we hit our low point back in early June. And so I think it's very important that all of us continue to do all of the disease mitigation activities that we've been doing all along. Make sure that you and those that you work with do not come to work ill. Very important that we stay home, that we communicate with our supervisors or with our colleagues, with our classes about staying home when ill. Continue to use face coverings, continue to wash your hands, continue to maintain distancing. The vast majority of cases on our campus have occurred because of activities outside of campus, social activities, and really people letting their guard down. I think we've done a great job of doing the right things in terms of disease mitigation on campus. It's extremely important that we do that 24/7 outside of campus as well. And so I would say that with the holidays coming up, the other point that I would make is that we are all very, very careful over the holidays. I know it's a difficult time to think about not being with others, not having holiday parties, not being with friends and family, but it is expected that there will be a significant bump in COVID cases due to holiday interactions. And many cases have occurred due to family gatherings. And while I know that's the time of year to spend time with family, I think folks should be very, very cautious about doing so and about travel, particularly if we're not around individuals a lot of the time. Many cases occur when we gather together with friends and family, particularly those that aren't in your household the bulk of the time. So I think, we ought to think very carefully about how we have our holiday plans. And unfortunately, my suggestion from a medical perspective and from our COVID health team is that we really do minimize interactions with others. I will also say that we have a testing subcommittee that's gearing up for spring semester. And although we don't have our testing protocols totally ironed out quite yet, we will be increasing the surveillance testing that occurs on campus. And the idea there will be to catch cases hopefully earlier in the transmission cycle, if at all possible. We have had problems all along, not just at ISU, but all across the state and region with our ability to get testing supplies, whether it's the testing kits, the reagents, the testing devices themselves, etc. We're seeing that pipeline open up a bit, and we have ordered several thousand tests to help us with that contact tracing effort, as well as the surveillance testing effort as we get ready to start spring semester. And Laura, I'm happy to answer any other questions during the Q&A, but I think that kind of brings us up to speed in terms of the COVID update on campus.
Thanks, Rex. I wanted to give you just a few updates related to some communications that we sent recently. As we've talked about in some other venues, we are creating a faculty impacts subcommittee. This is a group that was created in response to information that Candy brought forward from some of the meetings in arts and letters that she was talking about earlier. So this committee really is being created out of concerns that came out of some of those meetings in Cal. So I appreciate the work in Cal to bring these things to our attention. The Faculty Impacts Subcommittee will be co-chaired by Laura Ahola Young and Rick Wagner. Many thanks to them for their willingness to take this on. They will be looking at faculty impacts to workload, to the teaching environment, and to tenure and promotion, and making some recommendations to the Council of Deans and the Leadership Council and Admin Council relative to remedies for some of those impacts. I've told Laura and Rick that we would like to see that work come to a conclusion in about 3 months. I know they are working together on creating the committee and getting those meetings scheduled. So you'll be hearing a lot more from them as that work proceeds. In terms of Stop the Clock, we did send out a streamlined process for requesting Stop the Clock deferrals. This is for tenure clock deferrals, and any faculty member who has a tenure clock, and Jean brought it to my attention that we have a few examples on campus of associate professors who are untenured. It applies to any faculty member with a tenure clock. Those deferrals can be requested on the basis of COVID issues and will be automatically granted in that case. I see that Ginny just posted the link to that policy on the chat as well, and it is also linked in the slide. So you can access it multiple ways, and it's on the Academic Affairs website. Just a couple of reminders about our calendar for the fall. We are moving into an online finals week following Thanksgiving break, taking Monday and Tuesday as instructional days during Thanksgiving, which is unusual for us. We usually have the week for break, and then we move into closed week after Thanksgiving week. This year is different in that we're taking Monday and Tuesday for instructional, moving to finals week directly following Thanksgiving break. And I've had some questions about whether or not ITRC will still be open, whether we will still continue to have some of the same supports during finals week. And yes, absolutely. The campus will still be open. All of the offices that support faculty will still be available, but we are wanting students to take advantage of the fact that they do not have to be here in person. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to that, and those programs have already been granted those exceptions, and so there may be you may see students on campus during that week, but we expect it to be 95% plus in online finals week. Winter commencement, as you know, has been changed. We were planning for a face-to-face event. Unfortunately, we had to change that planning because we do have obviously a significant COVID issue still, and greater than we did even in the spring. So we have made the difficult decision to move winter commencement to a fully online platform. The planning committee for that has done a great job of thinking of ways to engage our graduates and to make it a meaningful ceremony for them. And there will be opportunities for faculty to record videos to support their students as well, which will be a nice feature that we don't normally get to have. So I think there will be some really great elements to that winter commencement. It has been moved back. It was scheduled for the weekend prior to Thanksgiving. The virtual event will occur later in December. And then we have also altered the spring schedule. Darren, if you could just hit that tab so that we could pull up the spring schedule for a moment. There's some significant changes to this. The spring schedule, rather than having a spring break in the middle of the term, will actually have a spring break at the end of the term, just prior to the end of, just prior to finals week. So our spring term will look more like fall. We will have a break the week prior to finals week, and then go right into an online finals examinations week. So you see that there, April 26th, spring break, no class, and May 3rd, final examinations. So similar to what we're doing in the fall. Just as a note, we are keeping the two three-day weekend holidays in that spring term. Martin Luther King Jr. Day and President's Day will both still be days that ISU will be closed, and we will not hold class on those days. Ginny's put some of those links in the chat, and this calendar is also available in multiple places on the website and linked to our slides here as well. And with that, we can take any questions that you may have. And Ginny's telling us about the Zoom feature. Ginny has been gracious enough to, again, facilitate our town hall session. So if you have questions, you can Zoom them or chat them to Ginny, or you can do that privately or publicly.
Great, thanks, Laura. We do have a couple of questions already. And the first one is a budgetary question. So this might be for Glenn, but the question is, will the Idaho government send money to higher education now that there is a budget surplus? How will budget impact tenure and promotion?
I can answer the tenure promotion piece of that before we have Glenn tell us about whether or not the legislature is going to send us money. I think the answer is probably not going to be yes, but the tenure and promotion piece of that, we have a planned for tenure and promotion bumps. We do not foresee an impact on tenure and promotion raises that are associated with those tenure and promotion increases. So there should be no impact to the TMP process from any budget implication. Glenn, did you want to add on to that?
Sure. I wish I could give the answer that people would want to hear. The fact that the Idaho state government has a larger surplus than planned, and they're planning to end the year, if things don't if things don't go south, they're planning to end the year with a pretty healthy surplus. That being said, there's not a plan at this point in time to remove the 5% holdback, which was equal to $5 million. But as I said when we went through the slides, President Satterley has been working with the other presidents in speaking with the governor, and we've made a case for why we need additional help, primarily due to revenue loss that we're not able to recover through the federal programs. So the door is not closed on that possibility, but there are no signs that say let's take it to the bank, and that's why the furloughs for spring are still currently in place.
Thanks, Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Next question. Okay. How does the provost departure affect impending decisions about program support or cuts in the program health process?
Great question. So Kevin and I are working together on the transition, and our plan is to certainly have an interim announced prior to my departure. My office will work closely with the interim to create the processes needed to continue to make progress on the initiatives that are in place. Certainly, we have not completed the health review, the program health review. We haven't made any decisions in the provost's office relative to those program reviews. They aren't due actually to our office until mid-January. And then from there, they go to the Faculty Senate and to the Council of Deans and to the Leadership Council and to the Admin Council, and those processes won't change. I will say that I have committed to Kevin, as I mentioned before, that if he needs assistance on some of these processes, I certainly will be available to assist with that if that is needed. And we do not foresee significant changes in how that process will roll out in terms of the deadlines or in terms of how each of the groups has the opportunity to respond. In fact, at this time, Joanne Tokel is working on a very detailed timeline that outlines the time that each group has. Faculty Senate, for example, will have so many days to review and to respond to multiple parts of the program health process, and those are all being outlined on a more detailed timeline and then is available online. And we don't anticipate changes. The question about how does it impact any program cuts? At this time, we don't have the reports and haven't made any decisions about program health, including any program cuts. Certainly, as we've said, the object of the program health review is not to eliminate programs, but to make sure that our programs are healthy and that they are supported. And there are multiple ways that multiple responses that can be made to those reports, including additional resources, including program innovations. And those action plans will all come from the departments to begin with and move up the chain from departments. So we don't foresee significant changes to that process, but of course we're early in our transition plan here, so we will keep you posted.
Great, thanks, Laura. Next question, in terms of spring enrollment, online classes are outperforming classroom-based courses. Is there guidance on changing delivery mode?
We are certainly monitoring that very closely in the provost's office and in the registrar's office. If online courses are outpacing face-to-face, we have said you can certainly transition to online. We do want to preserve some face-to-face opportunities for students because we just don't know what the registration cycle will look like in this period between the end of the fall term and the beginning of the spring. It obviously is different than previous years. Student behavior has been different, so it's difficult for us to track that. So we are encouraging departments to leave face-to-face options, alternatives on the schedule, even if they are not showing signs of enrollment. At least for a few weeks while we see how enrollment settles out. We don't anticipate that students are going to make decisions about some of those issues until they're through the fall term and until they've had a little bit of time to decide how they want spring to look. So it's too early, I would say, in most cases, to transition to a fully online environment or vice versa. I mean, we have some cases where the opposite is true, where the face-to-face sections are full and where the online sections are virtually empty. We think it's too early really to make decisions about that at this time. We are strongly encouraging that all departments to maintain multiple alternatives in the schedule until we get a little better sense of how our students are responding to the environment.
Thanks, Laura. This next question is likely going to be for Rex. Is athletics included in the university case count? I have had several athletes in my classes report COVID, yet no mention of clusters in the Roaring Back weekly counts.
So athletes are counted in our totals. We have had clusters and have reported clusters in the athletics programs. We've had several programs, in fact, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually go on a practice hiatus, basically been quarantined. That includes, we've had cases on the football team, the men's and women's basketball teams. We've had cases in tennis, in track and field. We've had cases in virtually all of the sports. And it's possible that if you're hearing something that we didn't hear, we may not know about a particular cluster because we are dependent upon self-reporting to the self-report form. So it is possible that you may have spoken with some student athletes from a particular athletics program and that cluster was not included on the website because we may not have known about it. But for the most part, we've known about the clusters. We work very closely with the athletic training program and the team docs for the athletics teams, and we generally have reflected that in the reporting.
Great, thanks, Rex. Laura, can you talk to us about what the plans for employees after Thanksgiving looks like if you're a staff member in particular?
So is this question, I think, refers to whether or not those weeks after Thanksgiving will be virtual. Do you have any additional information, Jenny, about that?
Yes, so the question is basically asking about if you're a staff member, not employee or student, or not a faculty member or a student, are you expected to be on campus?
If you're a staff member and you are supporting an academic unit and your unit is going to be almost all online, and then this is just a matter of working with the chair, your supervisor, or the dean, depending on your circumstances as a staff member, to determine whether or not you need to be in the office and what that rotation looks like. In many cases, you could certainly work telework during those weeks. As Dr. Forrest has said, we are encouraging telework in the environment that we're in now. And so if your academic unit is largely online, which is very likely the case, then telework is certainly a possibility. There are some offices that will rotate, and so it's really a matter of determining what the rotation is, what has been decided for your office, and if you are struggling to get that information, you can certainly reach out to either my office or to Human Resources, and we can help you with that. We are in those weeks after the finals week has ended, do not expect students to be dropping into offices. So we do think that there will be an opportunity then for a lot of our staff to telework, especially if they're in academic units. Finals week may be different. We may see some student traffic during that week because we will still have a few programs that have not fully completed, and students who are local residents may drop in with questions. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind. But for staff, we are encouraging telework unless there is an express reason from your supervisor that you need to be in the office.
Great, thanks, Laura. So that's the last question that we've received during the chat portion. So I'm going to turn it back over to you for any final remarks.
Again, I just want to say how impressed I am with all of you and all of the hard work. I mean, it really is remarkable. I don't know what else to say other than we have been in my office very amazed and heartened and sustained by the hard work that you all have put in, by the many hours that you all have committed to the institution, by the sacrifices you have made in your personal and professional lives to keep us going as an institution. And I want you to know that that is not something that has gone unnoticed. We know you've made sacrifices to keep us going. And we know that that effort will pay off in the ability of the institution to sustain itself into the future. And while I recognize that there's a high level of burnout at this point, I mean, this is 8-9 months of this steady work, trying to do things very differently, maintaining courses, maintaining access to students, access for students, and all of the things that you've done to convert your courses to very different formats has been wearing. But I want you to know that it has been appreciated by our students, and what you have done is heroic. You have allowed us to stay in our, maintain the ability to provide opportunity to students. And that is the big takeaway of the term. And as we've said before, it may be that you weren't perfectly happy with every aspect of your course. That is just part of the COVID semester. In the provost office, we are certainly taking that into account when we look at teaching evaluations. I will make sure that there will be a very solid written directive to the new interim provost that those teaching evaluations need to be taken within the context that we all have lived through here. So I don't want anybody to be too hard on themselves. What you have done is heroic, remarkable, and commendable. And if that means that it wasn't perfect every minute of it, it just means you were experimenting and doing the best you could do under very difficult circumstances. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. What you have done is truly amazing. And I hope that you can all take a break after Thanksgiving and pat yourselves on the back and give yourselves a break. You don't need to write 6 articles over the holiday because you didn't have time to get the writing done while you were converting all your courses to an online format. Everybody needs a break here. And so I hope that you'll give yourself that time to recover because this has been an ordeal. And that is all I have, Ginny, unless we've had more questions. You were all amazing. You know, our students appreciate it. I hear it every single day. And so I hope that the big takeaway for all of you is that you've done an amazing job and that our students are the legacy of that amazing work.
Laura, I just want to say too, thank you very much for your leadership. Both you and Rex through this COVID time has been really a challenge. And, you know, we've had to ask for a lot of help and support. And I know faculty have had questions and concerns, but you've created lots of opportunities for us to share with you those concerns. And the fact that we have managed to do so well this semester under such incredible circumstances, I think speaks volumes about that effort. So I'm very proud of all the faculty from both of our colleges and also really proud of our leadership team. So thank you. Thanks,
Candy. And you all should know that you all have really great deans. I mean, we are so lucky. Lucky to have Jean joining us and lucky to have Candy's experience and wisdom in this role during this time. So big shout out to both of the deans for your colleges. That solid leadership has made such a difference in how we've been able to hold it together here. I also want to give a shout out to Rex, who has taken a whole lot of arrows for all of us in his role as COVID spokesperson for the institution, a job that didn't even exist, you know, 8 months ago. And I want you all to know that he is really taken it upon himself to make sure that we do the right things for COVID. And we have fought for that every step of the way. And really appreciate Rex's leadership on the health front. I hope that you can get out of this job, Rex, at some point. And that you don't have to be the COVID, you know, czar forever, for much longer.
Oh, I think we all hope for that. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate it. We've had a great team, and we've been very fortunate that we have not had to deal with the numbers of cases, at least up until now on our campus, that a lot of universities have. And I think it's commendable to everyone that we've taken this seriously on our campus, and we have done a good job. So I appreciate that, but we couldn't do it without everybody else working together.